Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is May, and I did a good number of reading this year so far. I'm going to go over all the books that I've read in January, February, and March. So we're doing a first quarter of the year book review. Yeah, it's a book review. In January, the first book that I read this year was this book, Under the Oak Tree, which honestly, she's a beauty. Like, this book, absolutely stunning. Even got her own like bookmark and everything. But my God, just use it as a display book because its contents were just, it was I didn't like it at all. I'm sorry. I know that this book is a webtoon. Some side note, the very first time I came across the word, I read it as wetboon instead of webtoon, and my brain just won't go back. It won't fix it to webtoon. I'm trying really hard to call it webtoon. I don't know what's wrong with me. But okay, anyways, the book Under the Oak Tree, which not for me. Just not for me. We follow a girl named Maxie. She is like a duke's daughter, but she was like really mistreated by the duke. She was kind of seen as like a lesser child because she stammers, and she was abused growing up by her father and completely neglected. Basically, she gets married off to a knight that essentially ended up earning his own kingdom, land, whatever. And she gets whisked away to his castle and becomes his wife. And she kind of just like lives her life. It was kind of boring. Like, nothing happens. And I was just like holding out hope throughout the entire plane ride while I was reading it, that I was like, it's gonna get better, there's gonna be something. And then anytime there was like an inkling of something happening, it gets resolved like really easily, really quickly. So was not a fan. I would give this a 0 stars if I could, but here we are at 1 stars. So not for me. It really just felt like somebody writing down their fantasies and publishing it. So Q1 started off being really, really rough, but luckily it picked up on our second book because we read Blood Over Brighthaven, and I really enjoyed this. This actually has a plot and has a strong female character that isn't a complete damsel. Quite the opposite, actually. So this is a story about a girl who is like trying to become a high mage in a society where women have never become a high mage before. They've always just like failed the final exam or whatever, and then they go on just, continuing work, but not this like highly intellectual, well-respected work that our main character wants to do. And so she makes it, and she gets kind of bullied by her peers because they're like, oh, you're a woman and you probably slept your way through. And they kind of throw her a janitor as her assistant instead of giving her like somebody that's actually studied, like an actual student. So her and this janitor essentially work together and find this really sinister secret that her society has been keeping, and it kind of tears her entire world apart, I would say. I really enjoyed the writing. I feel like, I know there was some criticism about how the main character was really unlikable. I actually really liked her. I love a sassy girl who's just like, F you, bitch. I will do what I want. All right. I also just love her character arc. Her character arc was so solid, and I really felt I felt her pain when it came crumbling down, and she found that she can't continue down the same path that she had originally intended for herself. Like, it just, like, I felt that gut-wrenching moment of like seeing the truth and being like, I I don't know what to do with myself. So yeah, highly recommend. The twist was very, like, it hits you, dude. It punches you in the face. I saw it coming, but it still hits. Highly recommend. Blood Over Brighthaven. I am giving this, I think I gave it a 4.5, but now that I think back on it, I kind of want to up that to a 5. I really like this book. Jumping off from that high point, we get to our third book, which is Normal People by Sally Rooney. I honestly can't remember much about this book. I remember enjoying what happened. I know that it is about these two teenagers that liked each other and for some reason just couldn't make it work between them. Throughout all these years, they're like these two people that just like can't help but gravitate towards each other. Holy English. And they just like, yeah, like life just gets in their way, society gets in their way, and you kind of follow them and their relationship. I remember enjoying reading this while I was reading it. It's nice and short, so it wasn't like it dragged on, but I don't remember too much of the details. But you know what? It's a TV show, so I'm gonna go watch that TV show and remember everything that I read. So I gave this a 3.5 stars. And I'm gonna stick to that. I think that's like a fair review. Okay, so that brings us to our fourth book, which is The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. So I actually listened to the first book. I didn't physically read it. And it was, I thought that the world and the magic system was so concrete and well done. And like, it was the first book that I felt like I came across where it had like multiple threads branching away from each other. And then at the end, like every single one of those threads just like converged into like the main plot line. And it was the most satisfying ending I've ever had in a book that I've experienced. So it was wonderful. I love the first book, and I felt like it closed everything in a really good way, but it also left enough space for there to be a second book. But because it was so good and so satisfying, it took me, I think, 1.5 years to finally get around to the second book. And so when I picked this up, I kind of forgot everything. I had to go watch a video to remind myself like what happened because it had been such a long time. But man, am I glad that I returned to it because it is a masterpiece. So this is obviously, Well of Ascension is the second installment of the Mistborn Final Empire series written by Brandon Sanderson. And I feel like I don't want to talk about the storyline because I think it'll spoil the first book. But I will say I love the characters in this book, and the world and the struggles that they go through feels very like I was anxious the entire time reading this. Like the amount of pressure, the amount of responsibility that every single one of these characters have on them is insane. And it led to some really great character arcs for almost every single one of these characters. And I love it. I love this world. Because I enjoyed it so much, I actually jumped onto the third book right away. I couldn't like hold off and wait 1.5 years like I could in the first one. I actually feel like, I needed to know what happened after the second book. The third book, I think, was also like the perfect wrap up of the entire series. By the time I finished reading this book, I was sobbing. I called my fiance and just cried and complained about how much I was feeling because it was so good and it hit so hard in the most like rewarding way possible. I will not shut up about this series. I love it. I love it so much. And please read it. It's so good. I gave Well of Ascension 4.5 stars. And I gave Hero of Ages a perfect 5 stars. I think this was one of the best endings to a series I've ever seen. Please get them, read them, devour them like I did, because they're wonderful. It's a great series. So how do you even follow a series like Mistborn? Because I was just like, I was so satisfied but distraught at the same time that I knew I needed a palate cleanser. Unfortunately, I have too many books in my physical TBR, and that means that I wasn't allowed to purchase new books unless it was a part of subscriptions that I'm already a part of, like Fairy Loot, for example, because I know that if I canceled it, it's going to take forever for me to get my spot back. So I was like, my one exception is my Fairy Loot subscription, and I would allow myself the occasional book of the month. So I really had to go look through my existing library to figure out what next book to read, and I kind of landed on Murder Your Employer, which is a murder mystery but written with like a comedic twist. In the beginning, this felt like a dark academia in a way, except like everyone in the story is like a full-grown adult who have been wronged by some asshole in their life and have now been enrolled in the school to teach them how to delete their specific asshole. So we follow 3 main characters. One is like an engineer who has a really shitty boss, and this boss has caused like 2 of his coworkers to commit suicide. We also follow somebody that works in the medical field whose coworker keeps taking credit for her work and basically blackmailing her to do whatever she wants her to do. And then we have a movie star who has like an agent guy who won't give her movies and is basically like ruining her career. And honestly, highly recommend. So I don't normally read murder mysteries, but this felt like a really good introduction to it. Maybe like an entry level book towards like reading more murder mysteries. I feel like I get too stressed out when it comes to those types of books, and this was like the perfect level of like tenseness, but also it's kind of a comedy at the same time, so it didn't feel too like I could breathe, you know? I wasn't like holding my breath the entire time. And I really enjoyed it. I gave this I think I gave this a 4 stars. It was solid. It was really good. So the 7th book that I read this year, I actually read on Kindle because it was a part of Kindle Unlimited, and that is The Queen's Rising, which is a story. It's a fantasy story in a world where magic used to exist in this other country. We follow a girl who is half one country and half another country. I already forgot the country's name. One was, you know what? I'm going to call it as it is. One is England and one is France, okay? Because that's based off of the names of each character. That's how I imagined it. I completely forgot what each country was called. In my brain, one is England and one is France. So she's currently living in France. And she is half English, half French. The English lands have magic. There used to be queens that ruled the land that was able to kind of wield and perform magic. That line has since been removed. Basically, they all died. And so she, you know, being this half person living in France, has kind of grown up like not knowing where she belongs. She's also an orphan. She doesn't know who her father is. Her mother died when she was really young. And so her grandfather takes her to the school to be taught a passion. And a passion in France basically allows you to have a future, because it allows you to like then take on a job as like a passion, and basically you become a skilled worker essentially. And so there's 5 passions in this world. It's like, I think it's like music, arts, drama, wit, and knowledge. The difference between wit and knowledge is like kind of weird to me, but whatever. It's a YA book. We don't care. So she goes into the school. Grandfather basically begs, like, please take my granddaughter. I need her to like have a purpose in life because she's an orphan and she needs this for a future, blah blah blah. And oddly enough, the headmistress allows her into the school, even though our main girl Brianna has like 0 skills. Girl is not good at any of these passions. But there's like a secret, like her grandfather tells the headmistress a secret, and she's just like, yeah, okay, we'll take her. And so they take her. She goes in and she's just like, I will do art first. So she spends a year trying to learn art, realizes that she's not good at it. And then so the next year she goes on to the next passion, which is music, and also realizes she's not good at it. So she goes through all the passions until the final one, she lands on knowledge. And by the time, she's already wasted 4 years of learning all these other things. And she just decided, I'm just going to be a passion of knowledge. So she's like, 4 years behind the other girl that has been learning for 7 years. And yeah, basically she's just like trying to land, like basically trying to graduate. And obviously like more things happen, but that's like the basic of the first story. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm going to leave it at that. But honestly, it was okay. It's definitely not Rebecca Ross's best work. It is very YA, and I think if I had read this 10 years ago, I would have enjoyed it way more. But I think with the amount that I've read now, it was fine. It was kind of generic. I had a good time. I will read the second book because I have access to it for free. But yeah, three stars, I would say. Okay, so now we are reaching the last book that I read this quarter, which is Sorcery and Small Magics by Maiga Doocy. This is one of my first fairy loot books that I've gotten, actually. So this one's a very beautiful copy. But unlike the first book that we read, this was actually good. This was actually really fun. Okay, so let me just give you some background into this world. There are 2 types of like magical people. There are scrivers and there are casters, and you need both of them to be able to create magic, essentially. So scrivers are like coders. They're able to basically translate these old languages to create spells that then a caster will recite and manifest into the world. Okay, so they're in this like magical college, and our main guys are on their final year. We have Leo, which is our scriver, our main guy. This is the person whose point of view we experience. And then we have Sebastian, or Grim, and he's the grumpy to Leo's sunshine. Okay, it's really cute. I love it. I love it so much. So Leo is on probation into the school, and basically he's like gonna get kicked out if he doesn't get his things together. So he's trying really hard to like just get by this entire year, because if he flunks out, his father won't give him his inheritance, which is very important to him. He has a nemesis, which is Grim, and they end up being basically magical science lab partners. So while they were performing their magical science project, Grim accidentally casts a spell that Leo didn't write, and it's actually a curse. And this curse is highly illegal. in their world. And so now they have to keep it as, not only do they have to keep it a secret, they have to figure out a way to break the curse without anyone else knowing. So they go on this big kind of quest to figure out a way to remove this curse off of our main guy, Leo. And the worst part is they can't ask for help, because if they do, they'll get in really big trouble. It is a very cozy fantasy. It's very wholesome. I love all the characters in this story. I love the way that the magic works. I love the chemistry between our main characters, and it is the perfect book to wrap this first quarter in. I think it's like a really great book for spring, because it feels very fresh and fun. There's like a coziness to it, but also like a brightness to it that I can't explain. Highly recommend. I gave this a 4.5 stars. I think I gave it a 4 stars initially, but now the more I think back at it, it's ranking a little higher. We are ending off on a strong note this quarter. I think I read some incredible books. It was just such a bummer that the very first one was so trash. But I think like ever since that first book, like everything else has been so great. So that sums up our Q1 book review. Let me know if any of the books that I've mentioned interests you, and if you've read any of them, what you thought of it. Yeah, I guess don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will make more videos when I feel like it. Peace. Oh, I don't think I rated these. I'm gonna, you know what? Fuck it. Okay. Blood over Brighthaven. I gotta remember, I need to pick it up with my left hand because this has all the space. Right down. Crap. Fuck.